Hello everyone and welcome to my Military World channel. When people think about military helicopters, they imagine dramatic landings under fire. But in reality, the CH-47 Chinook is not just a battlefield taxi, it is a logistics backbone. Without it, large-scale operations slow down or stop completely. Today we're going to break down, step by step, how the U.S. Army actually deploys the Chinook during combat operations, medical evacuation, air assault missions, artillery movement, and large-scale disaster response. No Hollywood version. Just how it really works. One of the biggest myths is that helicopters just get a call and take off immediately. That almost never happens in combat operations. A Chinook mission begins in a briefing room. Pilots, flight engineers, crew chiefs, all seated around a map or digital display. They receive the mission objective, threat intelligence, weather conditions, landing zone details, cargo requirements, fuel planning. And here's something people don't realize. The weight calculation alone can take serious time. The Chinook can lift over 20,000 pounds, but that doesn't mean it always should. High altitude, hot weather, mountain terrain, lift capacity decreases, so the crew calculates carefully. Where will the weight sit inside the cabin? Will there be a sling load underneath? How much fuel is required, but not so much that it limits payload? Everything is balanced, because in a tandem rotor helicopter, balance is life. Only after all that do the engines start. When the Boeing CH-47 Chinook first entered combat during the Vietnam War, U.S. commanders quickly realized how important it would become. In late 1965, U.S. forces were establishing fire bases in the Central Highlands, remote jungle terrain with almost no road access. Infantry units needed artillery support. But moving 105mm howitzers through jungle by truck was slow and vulnerable to ambush. So Chinooks were sent in. One mission involved lifting a full artillery piece into a newly cleared hilltop landing zone. The aircraft hovered above thick jungle canopy, sling cables attached to the howitzer below. The heat and humidity were intense, conditions that reduced engine performance. But the Chinook lifted steadily, low over the trees, straight to the hilltop. Within minutes of delivery, that artillery piece was operational, providing fire support to U.S. troops in the area. Without the Chinook, that movement would have taken days. With it, it took hours. That was one of the first moments commanders realized. This aircraft wasn't just transport, it was battlefield mobility. When a Chinook powers up, it doesn't leap into the air dramatically. It builds power gradually. You'll see the two massive rotor systems begin rotating. Slow at first, then faster. The aircraft vibrates slightly as systems come online. The flight engineer monitors engine performance, hydraulics, electrical systems, fuel flow. Nothing is rushed. In combat zones, even the taxi pattern may be planned to reduce exposure. When it lifts off, it rises almost level. That's the beauty of the tandem rotor design. No tail rotor fighting torque, just vertical lift, distributed evenly between front and rear rotors. It feels steady, deliberate, strong. How it flies in a war zone. Now here's where things become operationally serious. In hostile territory, a Chinook rarely flies high and exposed. Instead, it flies low, very low, using terrain as cover. This is called terrain masking. If there are hills, it stays behind them. If there are valleys, it follows them. The goal is simple: avoid being seen, avoid being targeted. It may be escorted by attack helicopters like the Boeing CH-47 Apache. Inside the cargo bay, soldiers sit quietly. The aircraft is loud. You can't talk normally. So most communication is hand signals. And here's something very real. Even experienced soldiers feel the tension during approach, because landing is the most vulnerable moment. Landing in combat. Approach speed reduces, the aircraft descends, dust begins to swirl. This is called brownout. In desert environments especially, rotor wash creates a dust cloud that can blind the pilots. They rely on instruments and training. Crew chiefs lean out slightly, calling out altitude and ground clearance. Troops exit quickly, controlled but fast. Moving artillery and vehicles. Now let's talk about something less dramatic, but equally critical. Heavy equipment movement. The Chinook frequently lifts artillery pieces like the M777 howitzer. It uses a triple-hook cargo system underneath the fuselage. Ground crews attach the sling load. The helicopter hovers carefully above. Hooks engage. Then slowly, power increases. The load rises from the ground. And here's the key. The pilot must anticipate swing. If wind catches the suspended load, it can begin oscillating. Too much swing is dangerous, so airspeed stays controlled. Movements are smooth. This is precision flying, not flashy flying. This is how artillery units relocate quickly in modern warfare, and mobility keeps them alive. Now let's talk about emergencies during war. If multiple soldiers are wounded, smaller medical helicopters like the Sikorsky UH-60 Blackhawk handle rapid medevac. But when casualties are high, the Chinook becomes a bulk evacuation platform. Inside, litters are secured along the sides. Medical personnel work in tight quarters. The flight is smoother than many expect, because the aircraft is large and stable. It doesn't dart, it carries. And that size becomes its advantage. The CH-47 entered service in the 1960s, and yet it's still operational today. Why? Because heavy lift never becomes obsolete. The aircraft has been upgraded with modern avionics, digital flight controls, infrared countermeasure systems, improved engines. But the core design, 2 rotors, large cargo bay, powerful lift, remains the same. Simple, effective, reliable.
Making them get over their fears, because from the aft pylon, it's about a 20-foot fall. And if you're installing a blade,
the Chinook is not glamorous. It doesn't fire missiles as its primary mission. It doesn't dominate headlines. But without it, artillery doesn't move. Troops don't deploy quickly. Mass evacuations slow down. Disaster relief stalls. In modern warfare, logistics decides outcomes, and the CH-47 Chinook is one of the strongest logistical tools the U.S. Army has ever built. When those twin rotors start turning, something important is about to move. That's the end of the Today video. Thank you for watching.